Welcome to Movie Vaders with the Farx brothers. I'm Kyle.
I'm Kirk.
And, this series of episodes, we are in the interview portion at the moment with Carl Swanson. Carl, are you willing to introduce yourself versus having me do it?
Yeah, sure. I'm Carl Swanson. I'm a local actor to the Twin Cities area in both theater and film. Enjoy film, enjoy storytelling in general, honestly.
Tell me a story. What's the last thing you did? Because we were talking about how you and I haven't seen each other maybe in a little while. Maybe none of 2024. We don't see each other in election years. We made that pact to one another.
Wow. Is that a blood pact?
It's a blood pact
Yeah.
because he's a hardcore Green Party person. And he just won't accept when people,
I only vote for Ralph Nader. Only.
Oh, yeah. He's still alive? Oh, yeah, he is. So
he is alive. He's not running anymore.
God, you can still write him in.
But still. What have I been doing? It's been a heavy theater year for me. I started the year with a couple musicals, one at the History Theater, one at Artistry in Bloomington. This summer, I was at the Guthrie, actually.
You were Stanley Ipkiss, right?
Stanley Ipkiss? Yes, totally.
Is that a real character?
No.
Oh.
I played Seymour, or rather, I understudied Seymour in Little Shop of Horrors.
What's Seymour's last name?
Seymour Krelborn.
Stanley Ipkiss is... Oh, man, that's going to bug me. That's a movie character. I'm sorry.
Is it Stanley Yelnats you're thinking of? That's Holes.
With Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
No, I'm not going to Google it.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
He's an actual cannibal?
No, that's a YouTube video from a while ago.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
It's a weird, odd performance art piece that's kind of a musical, but it's mocking Shia LaBeouf, and then he makes an appearance at the end of it. Anyway.
All I remember is his more visual videos in front of the green screen. He's like, just do it! Yesterday, you see it tomorrow or something, right?
Yeah. That was around the same time, actually. I feel like that both of those came out at the same time.
That was great.
But yeah, I was at the Guthrie. I got to go on twice, which was kind of exciting. Understudied this guy named Will Rowland, who is a Broadway alum who's done a lot of stuff. He was in the original cast of Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh.
I'm sure all the people really are into musicals. Who knows? I don't know who listens to this.
We've done musicals
I love that.
before.
You talked about Wicked, right?
Just the one musical, yeah.
There'll be
that's
other
all right.
musicals that we'll cover
I'm
someday.
Sure.
Like
Someday.
Better
Here and
Man with Robbie Williams.
No, we're not gonna
There you
cover
go.
That movie bombed. So, are you aware of this movie?
I am very aware. And also, I feel like and it is purely because I watch a lot of clips, or rather, the algorithm gives me a lot of clips of the Graham Norton show.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually knew who Robbie Williams was before this movie came out.
Yeah.
Not great. Like, I've listened to maybe one or two of his songs.
Sure.
But, like, it was very much this moment of, like, who's this Oh, that guy who told that story on Graham Norton that one time. So, like, I kind of knew who he was, but no. I've heard
he's much more famous in the UK, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
that's what's interesting. Like, he's one of those stories that, like, he got stupid famous in the UK, but then just for some reason couldn't hop the pond. No one gives a crap about him in the US.
Yeah, the States, as they call
The
it.
States, as they call it. We can swear on this show, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
fucking
explicit.
Oh, fucking
yeah.
that. Okay, great.
Do you know the Sparks band? They had a documentary made about them called the Sparks Brothers, but they resent being called the Sparks Brothers.
Don't, but for some reason that sounds familiar to me.
It was one of my favorite documentaries of, I think, 2020. Edgar Wright produced it.
Okay.
Unrelated to that, I love Little Shop of Horrors because I saw the Rick Moranis movie when I was a young lad. My conservative Christian parents showed it to me.
What a film for conservative Christian parents to show you.
They showed me The Birdcage too. It was
Wow, that's
nice.
surprising. Yeah.
and
lovely.
I'm upset that I thought his name was Stanley Ipkiss, which is Jim Carrey's character in The Mask.
There it
Oh,
is.
Yeah,
right.
sorry.
There it is.
And
You said the name, and I'm like, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know what from.
Ipkiss.
Yeah.
But no, there's the song Suddenly Seymour. So. Have you been singing those songs since you were a young? When did you first interact with Little Shop of Horrors?
I think I first interacted with Little Shop of Horrors when my high school, like the high school in my hometown, did it when I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade. I don't remember how old I was. But I also, that was back in the day when I still thought theater was fairly real. So I kind of got scared. I feel like
Scared in what ways?
Oh, it's a man-eating plant.
Oh, well, I guess I've never seen it.
Wait,
so.
you've never seen The Little Shop of Horrors, brother?
No, I never
Oh,
seen it.
God. Our
You got to
parent will-
check it out. I mean, if you really want, you can watch the B movie of it. That stars a very young Jack. I do this all the time. Nicholas, not Nicholson. I
No.
say Jack Nicholson all the time, but that's the golfer.
No, Jack Nicklaus is the golfer. Jack Nicholson is the...
I do this all the time. Curse my father
okay,
for
man.
introducing me to golf at an early age in my life.
Wait, do you golf?
I do.
What's your handicap?
I have no clue.
Okay, so you golf, but not all. How many times a year do you golf?
Less nowadays. During COVID, I golfed like once or twice a week.
Nice.
Like 2020, summer 2020, I was out there all the time.
I don't know why I said that because I only golf for my white collar job.
Fair.
I've never golfed for pleasure. I've only ever golfed for work.
Well, my dad golfed a lot, so I started golfing really young. But yeah, I feel like during COVID, it was the one thing that you could do. Everyone started golfing again during COVID because it was the one thing you could do outside. You could social distance with a friend and still hang out outside, still enjoy some slight normalcy because like, oh, this hasn't really changed. Minus like, there's someone's job who has to like deep clean every single cart whenever you bring it back.
Do you think they were really doing that? Like it's some
No,
teenager.
I don't. It was you're absolutely correct. It was some random teenager that has it for a summer job. So
I hate to tell you this, but a lot of the people I've experienced golfing, they weren't on the COVID train. They were more on the other end of the spectrum.
Well, honestly, during COVID, I had like only like 2 or 3 friends that golfed, and they didn't want to do it as often as I did. So I would often just get randomly paired with groups of 3, groups of 2, whatever. Several times I just got paired like on a Friday morning with these random like finance guys, people who were working in the corporate sector. I remember one time we were on the first tee. I hit, the 2 other guys hit. One guy was on the phone call, and he literally, all I remember him saying was, no, this is $1 million proposition. We need to do, that's all I heard. And I'm just like, okay, this is who I'm dealing with. They bought me beer a lot, so that was always nice. Like I would often talk to them, be nice, but it was also like that weird thing of like, oh, you're probably not taking this as seriously as I am right now.
The golf or the COVID?
The COVID.
Sure.
I thought you were talking about the golf, yeah.
No, the golf they're taking very seriously.
Right.
Yes, and sometimes it's always fun to watch a grown man get insanely mad because he's playing terribly. It's not a good time. It's just kind of like, oh wow, look at you.
I as a very terrible golfer, the handful of times I've done it, I want to find the joy other people have in it.
Yeah. A lot of it is walking in nature. And
You
I
don't
also
drive a cart?
Sure.
You walk?
Huh.
Oh, I like to walk. I prefer.
All right.
It's
You and Marky Mark.
it's good
All
exercise.
18 holes?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll do the thing where it's just like I'll kind of play it by ear, and after 9, if I'm like I can walk another 18, I go. If I don't, then I'll get a cart to do the back 9. But yeah, your walk like it's a great workout, and you get a nice like 3-4 mile walk in.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Maybe
they were
not quite
that big.
much. Maybe 1 or 2. I
Not
don't know.
Googling the average golf walk. Have you golfed in
not
other
either.
states or only the Minnesota?
I golfed at Bully Pulpit actually.
Where's that?
It's the one that's just outside of Medora in North Dakota.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was literally the day after I rapped on Sanctified
Ooh.
with Nick, because it was where we filmed that was Bully Pulpit's a very famous golf course that's kind of in the Badlands. It has this epic hole that you are literally like hitting the ball over this massive ravine to the green. It's a par 3. But anyway, we were not even 5 to 10 minutes away from this golf course. And I brought my golf clubs just on the off chance, like maybe I'll do it. And then we wrapped the day I wrapped. I was hanging out with waiting around for Chelsea for a couple days just to make sure. Chelsea Grant,
And
yes.
Nick, who you said are Nicholas Swedland.
Yes, Chelsea Grant, Nicholas Swedland, 2 people that people should know.
Come on the show, both of you.
Indeed. Honestly, message them. They probably would.
Oh, Nick turned me down recently because he's laying low after the petition. We'll get to that later.
We'll
We're
get
going
to
to talk
that.
about Sanctified first.
Yeah,
What?
fair enough.
I don't know why he would be laying low if he wrote the petition. Isn't that what he wanted?
I believe that Minnesota has an ethos and a culture that does not encourage the tall grass gets cut when the mower comes. Mm-hmm. Like on a golf course.
I never heard that before, though.
Great wraparound, Kyle. Well done.
Don't compliment me on this show. It's the one way to annoy me.
Why?
Never do it. It's our one rule.
We were in a business meeting recently, and someone said I should read The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, which I had already read.
Sure.
Because big Shonda fan. In theory, not in practice. I don't really watch Bridgerton or the other. I mean, I've tried. I wanted to get to episode 5 where there's that. Anyways, I want to hear more about Sanctified.
Sure. Definitely.
What was the movie about? I watched it on Amazon once.
Yeah.
Wait, no, isn't the question what's the log line, Kyle?
I do ask people for their log lines.
The log line. What's the
log line of Sanctified?
I believe the log line of Sanctified
Nick will
is
hear this, just so
we
you know.
always pay in blood.
We always pay in blood. That sounds like a tagline. That doesn't sound like a log line.
Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. Define log line for me.
So, rich billionaire beats up the mentally handicapped. Batman,
Oh, okay.
But that's a log line technically for Batman.
Technically, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Nun saves outlaw in North Dakota Badlands and goes on a road trip to try to, in an attempt to save his soul / keep him alive.
Wow, that sounds pretty interesting.
Sort of.
You ever seen Two Mules for Sister Sarah?
No.
Have you ever heard of this movie, or do I sound insane?
There's so many movies that I've either I've randomly sometimes just gone down IMDb rabbit holes, and I'm just like, oh my god, what random movies are out there that's on IMDb that I've never heard of?
When's the last time you did that? What was the start and where did it end?
I want to say the last time I did that was like when, oh god, what was this? Oh, it was this, it's been a while. Okay. That was more of a college thing. I want to say I got from, have you ever done the IMDb game? It's similar to like 10 clicks to Kevin Bacon on Wikipedia.
Oh, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's basically just like you pick an actor, you go to that actor's IMDb page, and you say you have to get to this other actor however you can.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But in doing so, it's also just oftentimes I'll start with someone famous, whether it is a Meryl Streep or whatever, and just go to somewhere earlier in their career and just click on something that's just, I've never seen this before, and then just try to go down that rabbit hole of okay, whatever. Often you click on one and then it's just oh, there's only 2 credits on this one. Cool, go back, let's go search more, and then try to find who is connected maybe in the future, even though they worked in the past as well, kind of a thing.
Okay.
Wow, that's a great tease for Interstellar. Time, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Well, people will have heard the Interstellar part before this.
Oh, right.
You released the episodes. You know this.
I mean, I always forget because we record this first. Just to
Two
break the
Mules
illusion.
For Sister Sarah.
2 Mules for Sister Sarah.
Is Shirley MacLaine and Clint Eastwood. I think it could have been his first collaboration with Don Simpson. Don't quote me on that. No, it definitely wasn't. But it's about a disreputable gunslinger with a nun on kind of a road trip. So that I haven't brought this movie up to Nick, but now I have something to bring up to him. Nick, if you're hearing this and I haven't brought it up to you, fuck you. I don't know. I like Nick. That's how I express love.
That's wonderful.
But
no, Sanctified was great. It was very cool because I feel 90% of the shots that we had were within 10 to 15 minutes of where we were staying, which was at this it was technically a Bible camp and in Medora that it was in May, kind of in 2021, so kind of still during COVID, so they weren't really using it. We rented it out for a full month. We all stayed there. We used their facilities to cook and do that kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of the locations were within a very short drive or even just a golf cart from this spot.
We had golf carts?
Yeah, we have 2.
Sweet.
I know you don't golf carts on a film set, man. I'm sure everyone knows this, but they're a game changer.
Yeah, it's as good as gaff tape, right?
I know, right?
I like bringing my one wheel on set sometimes.
Your one wheel?
I have a...
Oh, that's right, one of those things. Sure.
They exist.
I've never seen you bring that one wheel on set.
You weren't on Haley Jacobson's bulletin board set.
I was on there.
I was riding my one wheel for... Wait. I was riding it Day 1, not day 2.
Oh, okay.
Were you on day 2? Were you on both days? You were on both
Yeah, I think
days.
I was both days. Yeah, you were not.
Yeah, I was using it
you were
outside
not.
to go back and forth. I shouldn't have said Haley Jacobson's. Rachel Weber directed it. I don't think either one of them is going to be mad at me for screwing that up because Haley
Yeah,
wrote
probably
it.
not.
But
Haley wrote it and Rachel directed it.
are you familiar?
I know both of them.
I know you know both of them, but have you seen the movie?
I have not.
How?
Yeah, how
fucking
dare you?
I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here.
Oh,
Oh, please.
It is amazing to me that two businesses that are often so many people could overlap in don't.
You mean theater and film?
Theater and film. I feel like the only people that really kind of overlap is actors, where it's just like, no, you could. There are plenty of skills that you learn in film that could apply to theater in some ways. Be that sound, lighting is obviously a little different, but like even directing, you're still directing a story, you're still directing actors. It's just a little different because your lens is so huge compared to it's just this in that situation. But anyway, my point being is I feel like with that, there is not a whole lot of time if you are working in one or the other to go and see and support the other, if that makes sense.
Oh, like theater people don't often get out to the other
It's not that they
film stuff because the theater people are going to see other theater shows. I know that
not just that. It's also there if you're performing. There's often when these premieres are happening is on a weekend when you have a show. So like, there's been several shows that have come up that are films that have come up that I wanted to go see, and it's like I have to be at this show at 7:30 to go and perform.
Well, you know Elizabeth Eftelin. She's directed for
She does
JK.
both. Yeah.
She does. She goes to both things and does them. I was gonna say goes both ways, but I heard how that sounded in my head.
It was a good edit. It just
When she hears this, if she hears this, she'll know that she'll be happy that I thought to change it, but then made it clear to both of you what I was thinking because she wouldn't even think of the dirty implication.
Valid.
Yeah, because it's pure souls. The movies have more degenerates, I think.
Oh no, theater also has very degenerates as well. Are you kidding?
Lovely.
Very dirty minds. No, and it, like when I say that, it's not that it's impossible. It's just it's when you're trying to do both, it's hard to completely support both in that sense, if that makes sense.
Sorry, I thought of another dick joke because
Please do.
yeah, go ahead.
when you're trying to do both, it's hard. Well, if you're into both.
If you're into both.
I'm like the youngest guy in my gym class usually, and just constantly making these inappropriate jokes. I guess don't come to my gym because I'm a bad person. But the one of the older guys in class was joining me today, and that just warmed the cockles of my heart.
As it
Oh,
should.
wow.
When you brought up the petition earlier, Carl,
Yes.
you even suggested us talking about it in
I
your
did.
interview segment, which shocked and pleased me. So pretend Kirk and I are people off the street who haven't heard of this. Sure. What's going on in Minnesota with some sort of petition?
Sure. So the fact that you were shocked that I brought it up makes me worried now.
Why?
No, I'm kidding.
Well, actually, can I tell you? I'll give you a quick anecdote before you go into it.
Please.
I was in the Chanhassen Dinner Theater.
Were you really?
Using Kirk's equipment to do a gig
Sound
for
equipment.
film. I was using Kirk's sound equipment to do a film gig. Kirk was working, and I was a theater actress that I'd worked with in making movies, and I was talking to one of the other guys on set who's worked on bigger productions than I have. Like, he's done some of the Hallmark movies, and I can't remember how the petition came up, and he was like, oh yeah, all that Facebook drama, we've probably lost gigs because of that, so I won't even say where I'm at on it. And I was like, I'll let you know that I signed that petition, my friend.
Hell yeah. Okay. So to go into it, basically it is a petition saying that the current leadership that is head of
The Minnesota State Film Board.
the Minnesota State Film Board, but it's also like, it's the broader term. It's like a
Tourism, isn't it?
It's under the tourism office.
the tourism office.
Other states have it under their economics and
Right.
economic development office.
Right.
So I put that out there.
So there was a town hall or a HAD that did not go well. A lot of people asked a lot of questions that they did not have answers to. And this petition is kind of a vote of no confidence in the current leadership of that group. And kind of what it's saying is to boil it down, the major thing is that they put a $1 million minimum on the on any film budget coming into Minnesota to film, which kind of takes out a lot of the independent film opportunities.
To use the state film incentives that have been
state film incentives
increased recently.
Yes, correct. So any independent film wanting to come in to possibly film here would not do so because if there is a $1 million cap as well on any star in the film. So basically, say you wanted to make an independent film that has a star that's making $3 million of a $7 million budget, you would not get the full amount that you actually should get from the tax incentive.
I don't think that a movie would budget itself that way for a variety of reasons, unless the actor was running a... Because I can give an example that I don't think anyone's going to care if I say this. Let's say North Dakota's own Josh Duhamel was going to star in a $3 million movie. Because that would be... over the $1 million minimum. And if you pay Josh somewhere hundreds of thousands of dollars, not for me to say how many hundreds of thousands of dollars Josh, North Dakota's own, needs to be paid. If you were to then go to the bank and say, hey, Josh Duhamel is worth $3 million in distribution money in Europe. And I have a letter of intent of Josh saying he's going to be in this movie. And I have... a letter from these European distributors that tell me they will pay $3 million for this movie to be distributed in Europe. So you pay Josh however many hundreds of thousands of dollars you need to pay him, which is less than $3 million, right? Use the rest of the money to make the movie, and then the producers pay themselves back with the incentive money. They take out a loan against the first two things I mentioned, the $3 million distribution deal, and then Josh signing a letter of intent that he would be in the movie, even though he's from North Dakota. He'd come over to Minnesota, as he has for Twin Cities Film Fest, and that in that way, producers could make themselves off of a $3 million movie. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax incentive in the first year of distribution, shall we say.
Sure.
That's just an example that I came up with off the top of my head. And if anyone is doing that right now and you hear this, good for you.
Wonderful. But I think more what it is it takes away independent films that are trying to film local from actually being able to take advantage of that tax incentive, especially in a situation. I've talked to Nick about this a couple times.
Nick Swedlund,
indeed.
Low profile.
We here in Minnesota, it is a lot of independent, mainly independent films that are done here, and not necessarily a lot of them could afford to be union. So.
Yeah, if you're over a $1 million budget, you have to be in SAG and using the other unions. But if you're below that, you don't necessarily. Not that anyone's anti-union, but there are additional insurance concerns.
Exactly. So I think more the point is there is not necessarily enough crew, enough people that have done that big of a budget of a movie to actually bring people in and have that really be a good impression on Minnesota for them. So to actually start out this thing and actually bring productions in that can maybe grow this community and grow this potential incentive, we need to be able to bring in lower budget things, smaller things, or maybe do something that is specifically local that can maybe go somewhere and do something so that we can show, hey, Minnesota does have the ability to handle these bigger budget things and also train people up on those smaller crews and things like that.
Do you know the budget of the movie you were on, that Sanctified, that was made in North Dakota? Do you know if it was $1 million budget or less than that?
Much less.
I knew the answer to the question before I asked it.
I know you did as well. Much less. But it's also the fact of like what you do with it and where you're able to film and what you're able to do with maybe like a lot of outdoor shots and what have you. Because I mean, it's true. If you're doing a lot of outdoor shoots, obviously the weather and the elements are a factor. But like, you've got the sun as your lighting. You don't need nearly quite as big of a gaff crew, but or big of a lighting crew. But you do obviously need a lighting crew. But like, yeah, it's just kind of there are things you can do with a smaller budget, but still make something look really good and really high budget in a lot of ways. Not necessarily saying that Sanctified is the best thing, but it's pretty damn good. I've watched probably films that have a much higher budget that I'm like, nope, that's worse. I've enjoyed that far less.
Yeah, to your earlier point about training the crew base up, the difference to a gaffer who works on a $200,000 movie versus a $1 million to $2 million movie probably isn't a lot, I would imagine, is in terms of their day rate. And, you know, $100 is $100, but if your usual day rate is X and it would be 20% higher, but you only get to do that one time a year versus 3 or 4 times a year, that's going to directly impact your livelihood, your likelihood to stay in the state.
Exactly.
And how many people pursue this as a career if there's, you know, no financial incentive. People move towards their incentives.
100%. And what's shocking to me is just how, I'm sure they've done their research, but it's just like, because I mean, why the last tax incentive failed, because there was one like in the days of Mighty Ducks and Drink All the Way and Fargo and all that, right? Why that one failed is because people were just like, what's the point of this? There's no financial benefit to just the common man. I'm like, because they were like, oh, it's just giving a handout to Hollywood. I'm like, no. The number of businesses that benefit from food, from renting the equipment, from all of these things, that if you come in and film here is exponential. Not to mention that if it's a consistent thing, the number of businesses that for renting said equipment that will pop up here as well. Yeah, like it seems like a no-brainer considering especially if people want to do winter shoots, because we have a specific, I always say this, like we have a very specific landscape and a very specific opportunity for like consistent weather outdoors. Yes, it sucks because it's cold, but it's like if you want that look in your film, come film here. It makes the most sense in a lot of ways. Whereas like if you go somewhere slightly further south, it might not have as much snow.
Well, the TV series of Fargo and Mighty Ducks did do, I believe, some B-roll. At least Mighty Ducks did around here, according to secondhand information I've gotten.
Oh, have you watched it?
The Mighty Ducks. Yeah, I've watched
TV show?
The first season. I didn't make it all the way through the second.
I made it through the first season. It was just like, oh, that is a very superimposed like image of the Minneapolis skyline behind these things here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was like, oh yeah, no, you didn't film that here.
No, yeah, and then there were buildings that my wife liked it though, and that matters.
That means I enjoyed the first season. I didn't watch the second one, but I enjoyed the first season a lot. It was great.
Suck it, Emilio Estevez.
So sorry, Emilio.
Yeah.
I'd also, well, no, it was also, I think, one thing that I'm a big, have you watched Letterkenny?
Yeah, I've seen every episode. Oh, wait, Kirk, you talked about your Letterkenny.
I love Letterkenny. And yeah, one of the hockey players is in that as the coach of the new Ducks, if you will.
Yeah.
And I love Letterkenny so much.
Pete and Repeat, they're great.
Wait, it's one of the like dumb guys.
He's the one with the long blonde hair.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in it, and that just tickled me very much so, because he also played a role that was very different than what he plays in Letterkenny, obviously.
Yeah, playing dumb and then not playing dumb is like, wow, what range?
What range indeed. But hey, he's a hockey player in both, so.
What do you have coming up?
Nothing currently, actually.
Hire this man. Sorry.
Please.
Cast this man.
I'm auditioning a lot, doing various auditions for film gigs when I can. A lot of auditions for theater. I joined the theater union.
What's that mean?
Wow, they have a union?
Yeah, they do. Actors Equity, it's called.
Oh, that's like a national union.
Yeah,
right?
It's a national union for actors. It used to be back in the day you had to work a certain number of weeks at a union theater before you got added. And then during COVID, they lost a lot of money. So they said, hey, if you want to pay to be in this thing, cool, please do. But no, also it is basically, it guarantees a higher pay. It guarantees health insurance. if you work a certain number of weeks in a 6-month period, and gives you protections at various theaters that offer an equity contract.
What kind of protections? Just because I'm ignorant of these things.
Sure. Just breaks during rehearsal for one. There's a certain threshold of how like clean a space needs to be in terms of dressing rooms. If you are a certain level of theater, you need to have a private dressing room for for various people and what have you. Sometimes it's even goes as far as like, is this floor sprung enough? Is there safeties put in place for various things that are happening in the show? Like, for example, there's plenty of plays where people get hung. How do you do that on stage safely and make sure that this is all happening? So it's protections like that. Basically, it's there to basically say like the theater cannot force you to more work without a break or without like a certain amount of time off than is allowed as a normal human. If that makes sense.
That's strange. That's just not standard practice. I mean, shouldn't that
You would think it is.
always be the case?
You would think, but like so how the story goes is like back in the day, there would sometimes be days like during Tech Week, which is when you add all the elements of theater. There would be days where they would be rehearsing till 3 o'clock in the morning and then forced to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning again for more rehearsal. So it was that's that kind of thing. It's similar to film where it's just like you need a 12-hour turnaround or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, if you end at 9, you can't have everyone back on set at 8 a.m.
Exactly. It's a similar thing, especially during tech. It's a similar thing. I think I don't know if it is 12 hours, but it's a similar thing like that.
Oh,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, my dear brother, you should remember that people fought and died for the weekend in this country, and that's an important thing.
They fought and died for the weekend?
That's what Labor Day's for, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I wasn't just making my usual jokes.
That's what Labor Day's for. How did I get on the topic of actors' equity? I don't remember.
Because you said you joined the union.
I joined the union.
Yeah.
And I asked about it.
And what's nice with that is it also offers me to gain access to the equity casting page, which basically gives casting notices for lots of equity theaters all around the country. So I've been actually auditioning a lot for theaters all over the country.
Have you gone outside of Minnesota for anything?
I've done a couple of contracts outside of Minnesota. I did a national tour once a couple of years ago, back in 2018. Worked a couple contracts in Missouri and a couple other theaters. But yeah, I'm kind of just looking for whatever will hire me right now in that situation. Auditioning where I can.
There's 2 questions left. The first one is, how did we meet?
How did we meet? We don't know.
Make it about you, Kyle. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to tell the story.
You don't want to. I'm not sure my brother knows, so...
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think it's gonna be that. And
we met on a film.
A short?
We met on a short film set. Oh, what was it called?
I do not remember. And I'm not gonna name any of the people who were on it, just in case that people don't love what you're about to describe.
That's valid.
oh, it was a good experience.
The experience of the film was fine.
Oh, okay.
It was about a guy who happened to have a BDSM dungeon.
Oh, okay.
And,
Go on.
And we support kink. We're a pro kink podcast.
We are very pro kink podcast, I'm sure. And no, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, and basically it was this how this story goes is this guy goes on a blind date and gets paired. Essentially, the two pairs of people go on blind dates and get paired with the wrong person. Oh, okay. Essentially, where it's like one of them gets together and then one guy's really into like toe sucking or whatever the hell it was. I don't remember.
I did remember that when I was thinking of it today. Yep. I was like, because I wasn't there for that day, and then I saw it later on, and I was like, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I felt that way expressing it to people, so I'm glad other people are comfortable expressing.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't actual toe sucking in the...
Oh, there was.
Oh, no, there was.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it happened. And then
things happened.
I guess this is going to get revealed on a podcast. Who listens to this podcast?
Agents,
how dare you, a lot of people.
People would book you.
Please. But no, basically my character had a BDSM dungeon, was very into that kind of thing, got mistakenly on a blind date with a a prostitute, essentially, who then kind of goes for it in terms of like, he's like, I'm into all this weird crap. And then she's like, where's the money? And then he's just like, what money? What are you talking about? And then it ends with me in the trunk of a car in my underwear.
Oh.
It was a good time.
I was thinking of when you were strapped down to the table in the dungeon. Did you have a ball game?
I was
from
never
it?
strapped onto the table. I was strapped I was strapped in something up top, but wearing nipple clamps.
Oh, yeah. I remember the
Ouch.
nipple
For how
clamps.
long?
Yeah.
For not very long.
Okay,
It was a
that's
short
good.
scene. And I will distinctly always remember this because they got nipple clamps that are very much designed to hurt and as you pull them get tighter.
Ooh, uh-huh.
I think they're called clover nipple clamps.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Clover nipple clamps.
Use
believe I'm
movie
revealing this on a
bears for
podcast.
Google that right
10%
now.
out. 10%
No, I don't want
off.
to do that. Yeah, Google it now.
The listeners, not you.
Let that be on your history. But no, there was a scene where like I was like in like shackled to the ceiling somehow. I don't remember how. But like the scene just kept going. Like we had to do so many takes because the nipple clamps just kept falling off because they put tape on it to try to make sure that they weren't too tight or too aggressive. And it got to the point where I was just getting annoyed, and I'm just like, I'm tired of this. Let's just get this over with. And I'm just like, just take off the tape. We're just gonna do it, and then we're just like, just one, and then it was one take.
Ooh,
It
nice,
hurt
eh?
like hell, but like it was like I was just wearing the nipple clamps for real.
Wow.
I really respected Carl after that. and
That's how our friendship blossomed.
Yeah, you guys met on that set?
yeah.
Were you getting him on that table? Putting the nipple
Nope,
clamps on? No?
don't even. I think I was just a PA and friends
okay.
with some of the people making it, and the lovely people whose home we were in for that. We haven't revealed enough to. So I think they had that stuff. They didn't explain how, and we were all like, "Yeah, that's great. You know, God bless, whatever. You know."
And we're not saying names. Yeah, no, we filmed it in a real BDSM dungeon from someone who did that as like a dominatrix kind of a thing.
Nice.
Oh, that was okay.
That was her actual job. Yeah.
And
And the
I've
person
forgotten that part.
The person who produced this film, I think, just
Knew them.
knew them, was a friend of theirs or something. I forget.
Don't need to know.
Don't need to know.
I don't. When I'm
No names revealed.
When I'm filming on location, I'm just impressed. We got the location, whoever we are, and you know, even when it's something I'm producing, you know,
Right.
and I'm just happy for that.
Right.
That's right. You've made a movie in my basement. You know, it's I didn't
have.
put nipple claps on
You
you.
did not. I was also dubbed best boy during that film.
You were the best boy.
I tried. I pressed a button. But yeah, that's where we met, and that film's interesting.
I don't know where it is. I hope people can
Is
find
that on
it.
YouTube?
I
Dude,
hope
what's it
not.
called? Do you know what it's called?
I don't remember.
I'll check your IMDb. We'll find it.
It's probably on there.
Yeah, it should be.
Are you Sarah? There it is.
Oh yeah, are you Sarah with an H or without an H? I always ask that to
All
Sarahs.
right, I'm looking that up tonight.
Find the movie, watch it. If I can find
I think I've looked it up on YouTube, but I don't think it's there.
it's not on YouTube.
okay.
I'm sure I have a link to it because I know.
I know I have a link to it.
Yeah, I'll send it to my brother. The last question we ask people in the interview section is, who else should we have on the podcast?
I've already mentioned two. Nick Swedlin and Chelsea Grant.
I haven't asked Chelsea yet.
Ask Chelsea. She's
I
fun.
will.
She's
eventually.
lovely.
She's like one of your best friends.
She is. She's a dear friend of mine. We've known each other since the days that we did Shitface Shakespeare together.
Did you ever get shit-faced for that?
Yeah. Have I never told you this about this show?
Isn't that what they do, like the Bard thing? Is it
No.
like that?
Very different.
Okay.
Bard is go see a Bard show. It's wonderful. They're doing a combined Shakespeare in a bar, and they don't really drink, but like it's fun. It's
People around them are.
People around them are drinking. No, Shitface Shakespeare was this show. It's an hour-long cut version of a Shakespeare play. We were doing Midsummer, and
Any Shakespeare play?
so this is actually there's actually a company that's called Magnificent Bastard Productions. That's actually their name. That produces Shitface Shakespeare. They do this. They are union paid actors doing this on the West End in London, and essentially how the show goes is it is a group of actors think of it this way, a group of actors are trying to do a real Shakespeare show while one of the actors is actually shit-faced drunk.
But you don't know who?
we always know who. The people who are doing the show know who the drunk
Yeah,
is.
the audience doesn't.
The audience doesn't know until the show starts. And what's fun about ours was like at the very top of the show, there was this fun little dance sequence where it's just like, okay, then the audience is just like, okay, who's the drunk? Who's the drunk? But what's fun is the drunk then essentially, because they're actually shit-faced drunk. We started them drinking 4 hours ahead of the show, and fed them dinner. Very much like kind of had a slow ramp up and tried to get them like very much into that life of the party kind of drunk, if that makes sense.
No, not at all. I've never been drunk like that.
Never been in the life of party drunk, but no, so like kind of that life of the party drunk, because then once they're in the show, the drunk essentially just becomes an agent of chaos, and they can do whatever the hell they want. They don't have to say their lines. They can essentially do whatever they want to tell the story, and the sober actors around them have to improvise in Shakespearean vernacular to try to still tell this story. It's amazing. It's both the most fun and the most terrified I've ever been on stage.
Were you drunk ever?
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, there's videos out there of me. Never will they be posted online.
Professionally drunk. Yeah.
Professionally drunk. And what's even better is when you were the drunk when you got paid more. Because
What?
yeah,
For the
you
risk?
did.
Oh wow.
I know, but no. So basically, so yeah, like there was one show where like someone killed someone super early in the show, and we had to somehow tell the story without that character now. But what's great is like then that person can come on as a ghost, as other characters to try to tell the story and that kind of a thing.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about ghosts.
It just turns into a big old improv game essentially, whilst dealing with a drunk person.
Oh, it sounds fun.
It's fun, but no. So Chelsea and I got very close because of that. We also went to college together. Technically, we weren't close in college. But
Wait,
yeah,
were you on the West End for this in England?
no. So they had. Oh, this was 2017, 2016, and they still have a show in Boston, but then they had one in Austin, in Atlanta, and then they just added ours kind of close to the end there. And when that started, once we got added, I don't know, just we blasted about a year, but I feel like in this town, unless you have an end date, because it was just kind of a show that was just like, oh, we're just running. We don't have an end date, but unless you have an end date, people don't feel like it's a priority to go and see it.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like we just weren't getting audiences.
Damn it.
Because there was enough theater here. We wanted to bring it back for a while, but they're just...
That's the kind of thing I would go out. I mean, I go out to theater, as you can attest to.
Yes.
And my wife can. She actually asked, wait, theater, Carl? Yeah. Theater, Carl.
You came to see me in Play That Goes Wrong. I still appreciate that.
Oh, I very much like that play. I've been back there for other reasons. No, I haven't been back there because that was when that place was closing, wasn't it? Because they sold it.
They sold it just recently. It's been less than a year since they sold it.
Oh, okay.
Or are trying to sell it. I actually don't know if they've actually sold it or not.
I'm going to end on telling you that play right there is supposedly going to get produced on the West End. That the sparkly folder there.
It's an audio podcast.
I understand that it's an audio podcast.
I'm looking at a glittery, wonderful binder right now.
A friend of mine gave that to me, and she's producing it. It was originally going to be on Broadway, but their costs tripled after COVID, so they're looking at... I've told you this.
No, you didn't tell me that
What's the play
their
called?
costs tripled after COVID. I didn't hear that
for
part.
what?
What's the play called?
I can't say that yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll let you look at it when we're done after this. So you've told us who. Kirk, you want to bring us out?
Carl,
Yeah.
thank you for being here. And thank you for being part of our debate on Interstellar.
Thanks, listeners.